Lisa's interested. She was, it sounds pretty good, she said. Here's what it is. What's the town call thing about? I didn't see her, but I had a nose like this in my mind whenever she was asking. People are predictable. What? Oh my gosh. Sabrina won't miss anything. If I'm in the room talking, she's coming.
But I missed this the last couple months.
You have?
But I was listening today.
Sabrina's got transaction experience and so on, and works with Dan Weber and his crew over here, so they can hear the noise. They come right out of that room, right into here. And it is noise sometimes, all it is. But anyway, so our purpose today, here, let me welcome the folks. Hang on. Midwest City and Shawnee, if you're listening in, I'm aware that you're there. I'm observing behavior today in the room, and nothing's working like it's supposed to. So just hang in there, because at the end of this thing, we'll be done at 11 o'clock one way or the other. That is going to be the way it works. Here comes more people. We got a crowd today.
I desperately need these opportunity calls.
Look here. My faith has almost failed me because I only have one piece left. However, I can copy one and put it over there. Oh, that's fine. No, you need it. You guys need this. Because it is the policy. It is the program. And it's Cheryl begs me over here to educate people about how this is supposed to work. So in the room today, we have new to Keller Williams, and not new to real estate. We have not new to Keller Williams or real estate. What, how years, Sabrina, or so?
Going on 3.
Almost 3 years? Good gosh. Well, you see, we've been having a lot of fun.
Right?
Yes, we've been having a lot of fun. And here's, I don't know how many transactions, but a little over a year of transactions. I mean, what? It was a year in October or September, somewhere in there when we first ran each other.
October.
So I met this young lady at the golf tournament.
That's right.
2 years ago, so I remember the occasion. And she was on her way to here. And so here, how long?
Almost 2 years.
2 years transaction experience. And so we're just coming in here and saying, hey, what about this opportunity? What about this opportunity? I know you can't read it. But this is Midwest City and Shawnee out here. Now, even if they're not there, I recorded it. I can say, go, you missed it, go listen to it later on. Just tune into YouTube, go to that channel, watch it again. So I'm recording it the second time. This is the second time because I can do better. I can do better.
We can always
I heard myself and listened to myself the last time for 5 minutes. I said, that's all I can take. How these people could make it a whole hour. Sabrina. All right, so let's look at this, because what we had formerly, just to give you some sense of the track, how did we get to this? Well, we had answering service people. I came in 2011, the end of 2011, they had an answering service for after hours and whenever the receptionist couldn't be up there. And the answering service was, they did what typical answering services do. They do a fair job. Not good. We'd like to at least get to good, so we could get to better and maybe get to best at some point. But you can't get to best if you never get to good. And they were fair. They would answer, hello, what do you want? Almost, not quite that bad, but almost. So the conversation became in the ALC, Associate Leadership Council. That's our kind of our board of directors. Excuse me, volunteers that are in the top 20%. Jennifer will be in the top 20% this next year. She could be on it if she wants to be, but it takes time, and she's pretty busy. However, this is then set up where now, if a call comes in, it's kind of like I was explaining to you, Christine, a call comes in during the day, and Cheryl's up there, and she's not a licensed person, or Angela's up there, or in Midwest City, Tarina's there, or out in Shawnee, Brittany's out there. And it's a question for, I've got a house over on 123 Main Street. I'm curious what it's worth. Well, is there anybody you're particularly calling? No, I just saw one of your signs. I wrote it down the other day. I just drove by and thought I'd give you a call. Your signs are everywhere. I thought you surely would know. So that is an unattached call. As opposed to a call that's coming in and says, I'm curious about what my house is worth. And we would say, well, how did you get our number? And they say, well, there's a sign next door to me. It's got this phone number on it. And it's, Lisa Elrod. Well, then we would basically say, let me get a hold of Lisa, let you get in touch with her because she's basically the person that generated that call. So that's why we have the class to understand how do we operate in those moments. And Cheryl is the one that's asked me. So I'm going to point at, where's my pointer? Some of this. You got it in your hands, but I like to play with the pointer. Look, I got a pointer. By the way, if you don't act right, I can shut this off just about as fast. I can just hit blank and bam, it's gone. Oh, I got to back up. Hang on. I just want you to know I can operate this. Look here. You can't see it now. Now you can. Pretty cool. All right. What is an opportunity call? We're just going to start with that. It's when a potential buyer or seller has contacted the office and they have not called for a particular agent or property, what I just said. Except this is the policy. There may be occasions that the caller just asks questions the call coordinators are not licensed to answer. They need someone occasionally to step up and assist the callers. So if you agree to do this, then you're on the call for that day. She will set up a calendar for the month, Cheryl and Angela. And that calendar every day has got a name on it. And that is who is going to get that call that day if that happens. In addition to that, after hours, that happens. So let's just scroll down here and look at the rest of this a little bit. Because my goal is just to go through this and explain it. You can read it in 3 minutes. I take an hour to explain it. But I can then go to Cheryl and say, Cheryl, they understand. They understand. They didn't just read it and sign it. And there are some requirements. How to qualify. That's why you guys are here primarily. Can you see that all right, sir? All right. I don't want you to miss anything. Participate in an opportunity call briefing and sign a written agreement acknowledging the opportunity call policy. That is what you're doing. Now, it might be that you're not yet qualified because I'm not done. But that's part of it. If you've shown up here and I get this opportunity, then that's one of the requirements. Attend a minimum of one team meeting or training event each month and log in your attendance. So some kind of training, a team meeting. Now, I suggest you be at all of them so you know what's going on. But one a month. There are going to be two scheduled. Two. One's a South Office meeting on the first Tuesday at 11 o'clock right now is what's scheduled. That's just standard rhythm of the company. And then in this office, South, Midwest City and Shawnee have their own schedule, but one of those meetings a month. And then there's a combined meeting. So the second one on the third Tuesday of each month is generally when the other team meeting happens, which is combined. Bring all the offices together, usually over at the First Southern Baptist Church in that facility, and they just meet there to have a meeting where everybody joins. So we have those two opportunities. One of them we want you to attend. Yes?
Those need to be more required. There needs to be a higher requirement for those.
I see. What do you mean? Give me what's the standard you're looking for?
We don't have nearly enough attendance and people involved.
I see. I 100% agree. We certainly, because we have not made it mandatory, it's easy not to do.
I mean, if you have a closing or something, clearly that takes priority. However, you can typically schedule.
You can move your
a
closing.
little bit.
Who's in charge of when your closing gets done? Who's in charge of agreeing to that?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't get me started. This is not that class.
Oh, okay.
But
sorry, because it just fuels my hate fire.
Yeah.
We
Well,
don't show up like we need to.
let's make sure. I mean, basically, it's for information purposes. You are an independent contractor. That's the problem. It's also the opportunity. You have the choice to be at everything. You have the choice not to be at everything. And we're just saying here, for God's sake, show up enough where you're a little bit informed at some of the training and some of the meetings. So that's the standard though right now until the ALC changes it. Attend a minimum of one team meeting or training event each month. A training event every week. Thursday at 1 o'clock, training event happens in this room every week. Unless we adjourn to another location like we will this week, because I want to hear this other guy, and I'm going over there to hear the guy on rental property. But so from time to time, I shift the schedule depending on what I want to do. I'm in charge of it, you see. Now, complete Ignite or have approval from the team leader not to. Ignite is a class we have, Lisa, but you have transaction experience previously. It'd be a great class to take, but you probably, as far as I'm concerned, not one need to take it to be able to handle this. But here, Christy, on the other hand, no real estate transaction experience, but maybe bought a house someday, at some point. I don't know, what your history is. We haven't talked about it. But if you ever bought a house, you have some transaction experience. If you ever sold one and you owned it, you have some transaction experience. But it's not enough. It's not enough, but I can build on it. Then complete the 45-hour post-license class, if not having done so previously. So that's where you learn what I handed you a while ago. What do we put in these blanks, for God's sake? And furthermore, what's in between them? Because the people get pretty good at what's in the blanks, and it's just what in between them that I got to spend time on when we do have the class usually. So that 45-hour course, which is required in the first year, we talked about a little bit. Yeah, Jennifer, for God's sake.
Don't wait until the last week.
That's right. Don't do what
you're really, really busy selling a lot of homes by then, and you don't have time back.
But we made time, didn't we? What I reminded her of. Well, we get to that, got it here. But it's that deal. So you can have you ever been so busy driving that you didn't have time to put gas in your car? That's what she did. She got so busy driving that she just about ran out of gas, and then she couldn't do it. And they're not forgiving up there to Real Estate Commission. There's no grace period. It's just we'll just shut you off, smile, friendly, no problem. Let us know when you get this solved. Meanwhile, you're not showing any houses. You're not talking to anybody else. And so that's a very important class to get as soon as you can. I recommend you get it here, Christy. Okay. I love it if you get it from me. Okay. Because I Kellerize it some, where it's just Keller Williams people. I'm not recruiting anybody. I can say whatever I need to about the Keller Williams systems and languages and all the terms and stuff like that. And I'm not handicapped like I might be if it was a group of mixed group of people with several different companies. Then I couldn't go into that the same level. But the Real Estate Commission requires certain things to be covered. And so we're governed by that. But we get in, the rest of it. The gold dust stuff comes with it. I call it gold dust. Now, so far, some of the minimum requirements in terms of how involved you are in things. Now we get to E. On your assigned day, be available to receive calls. Ensure your voicemail recordings do not indicate that calls will be returned the next day or after a certain time of day. Because some of us have a recording on our phone that says, if you're calling after 7 o'clock, I'll be returning my calls tomorrow morning at 9. Or something like that. You need to adjust your phone. Easy not to think about unless we go over it. And so always answer the call with, and these are exactly the words Cheryl told me that I had one word different. She said, no, that's not right. I didn't argue with her. I said, what is it, Cheryl? And here's what she said. It's a great day at Keller Williams. How may I help you? So every time your phone rings that day, you don't know for sure where it's coming from. Hello, I better get it. It's a great day at Keller Williams. How may I help you? I used the word can. And she said, no, that's not right. No. How may I help you?
It sounds so much nicer.
And it does. Actually, it does. Sounds a little more, fine-tuned. I'd love us to be that particular about how we sound up there. She is, and she's making the first impressions for us all day long with how she handles that phone. And by the way, she's one of the best in town. Nobody can get her away from us. She is loyal to Casey, 20-some years doing that. Now, if she's been there 20 years, I'm going to use the word may. I don't care what I think. because she knows it. Now, teams are considered as one person for the purpose of scheduling on the opportunity call calendar. That's your world, Sabrina. So if Sabrina gets on the calendar, the whole Weber team got on the calendar that day. That's essentially what this means. It's not that Sabrina can take today and Dan tomorrow, and just where the team gets 5 days of the month. And we had some of those dynamics previously, I think, that we worked our way through. Now, G, the rotation will be determined by the number of people participating in the opportunity call calendar. So you might be on once a month. You might be on twice. It just depends on which office you're in and how many are participating. So there was a season here not so long ago where Cheryl saying, gosh, I don't have enough participants. I got some people having to do this twice or 3 times a month. I said, well, I can, I'll work on it. But I mean, if they don't want to be on it, you don't want them on it. If they're not willing to do what it takes to be on it, you don't want them on it. So let's see. But I'll make sure they understand what the opportunity is, because there is business opportunity coming from it. That's just handed to you. You're not going out hunting it down, seeking it, chasing it down. It just falls in your lap. You got to answer 15 calls for somebody else to get there, maybe that day. But those calls come in every week. They come in. And so I can't say every day, but every week they are. Somebody's going to get some. So if conflicts with your schedule on H arise on your appointed dates, you are responsible to secure a replacement and notify the call coordinator of who is taking your place. This is not a daycare where all of a sudden you just say, I can't make it. It is, I can't make it. Here's who's taking my place. I've traded with somebody else on the calendar. So those names on the calendar are people eligible to do it, or they wouldn't be on it. And that's how we do it. To say, oh gosh, something's come up, and stuff comes up. Things happen. And, you just have life going on. And but it's your responsibility to pick up the phone and call somebody and say, hey, can you trade with me? I'll do tomorrow or next week or whatever. But that's what that's supposed to be. Now, I still see her every now and then looking around for somebody to cover for somebody that just called and said, I can't do it. I'm prone at that moment to say, Cheryl, they shouldn't be on this. I understand it's probably a very good reason. Maybe it's very, very just last minute. It just something happened in the family emergency, very possibly. But let's make sure we understand what led to this. Is it just, I don't care that much? And if it's a just don't care that much, let's let some other people have some opportunity or more opportunity than they're getting that do care. So that's where I come from. I'm not the one governing it. Vicky's probably the one, and Cheryl are the ones that decide that. But that's an important little aspect of this. I think that there's nothing rocket science about this. Christy, is any of this below your mind yet?
No.
No, common sense. Brand new hour of business, common sense. This is just common courtesy and some minimum standards that even Jennifer thinks are not enough. I agree. We could stand a little higher standard. But let's work with what we got until we get a better one. Proper procedure for handling the opportunity call. Well, there must be a wrong way. Well, let's see what it says. Our Keller Williams values and culture are guiding principle applied on each call. Y4C2Ts, that's what they call that. It's going to be a while before you get that down. Y4C2Ts, they're right over here on the wall, and that's what they stand for. W, win-win or no deal. I, integrity, do the right thing. Customers always come first. Commitment in all things, communication, seek to first understand, creativity, ideas before results, teamwork, together everyone achieves more. I'm doing this for the video people. Trust starts with honesty, and success results in people. That is our guiding dynamic. And if we operate with those things, we're going to have happy customers, and we're going to work in an environment where they are #1 happiest company in America to work for, which, by the way, you are. That's proven. We're not just #1 in units, #1 in volume. We are #1 happiest place to work. Possibly because of that right there. That's having some kind of a value system. Or maybe it's this one. The values, God, family, then business. That might be some of it. But there's a reason, and it is not accidental. It happens by design. And so we want happier people. Now I got to check my razor. Yeah, I'm good. Don't worry. All right. If the call is a potential buyer or seller, ask questions to determine if they have called for a particular agent. Like, are you calling for somebody in particular? Or have you seen a particular agent sign? Have you been receiving email from one of our agents? I mean, how did you find us? Because if Jennifer's spending hundreds of dollars a month to send out notices to people and finally somebody responds, she ought to get that call. And we want to protect that. And we need people, this requires some integrity, to be honest about it. Because it would be fairly easy to say, no, I don't think I'll tell them. I'll just sell this house, who will know? God will know. All right. Anyway, so have you been receiving? So if the caller is calling about a particular home for sale, get the name, phone number, and email address from the caller. Who are you? How do we contact you? Tell the caller, you or one of your team members, that's in bold for a reason, you and one of your team members will look up the information and call them back within 15 minutes. Now, I typed this. I took the liberty of changing it from 10 to 15. I felt like 10 was a little bit too quick. In reality, if you're in the bathroom and this call comes in, it could be 5 minutes before you can even see the call came in. So, I mean, I adjusted this with nobody's permission. I'll deal with the consequences if it ever comes up. People are going to know now. But 15 minutes. You or one of your team members, somebody's going to call you back in 15 minutes and give you a response to whatever you asked about. Either the person that's the listing agent or whatever, or I will. Now, if you determine the property they are calling you about is not listed with an agent in our office, you're then welcome to secure the caller as your client. But it could be another Keller Williams office. It could be Central 21, call anybody else. But if it's not somebody in this operation, the Keller Williams Green Meadow crew, which includes Midwest City and Shawnee. And so we just look up who is it. But on the MLS printout, Christy, it clearly states who the company is. And KWGM is us. That's how we're identified on the MLS printout. Now, if you determine the property calls about it's not listening, go ahead and use it. If you get the agent's voicemail, in other words, it is about with somebody in our office or our company, leave a message about the caller with a follow-up text for documentation. So we're going to leave a message. If the voicemail answers, Jennifer, we've got a call from John Jones about 123 Main Street. His phone number is this. He's waiting on a call between now and, I'd probably say, about 15 minutes would be 20 till. After 20 till, if I don't get a confirmation from you, I'm going to go ahead and follow through. So let me know. That's how I'd probably handle it. And then I would follow that with a text to say, did you get my message about John Jones calling on 123 Main Street, whose number is? That way we can just hit yes. Christy says she's not very technology savvy, but I got you to do that.
She's about to be.
I can see it. She's about to. Yeah. Little by little, we evolve because we have to sometimes.
JK finally got rid of his flip phone.
Holy cow.
How long's he been an agent?
20-some years.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there you go, Christy.
I was so proud of him.
I'm
Way ahead of him. Way ahead of our 20-year veteran who just got done with this. Because he's sending a text message, he's hitting the 3-4 times or whatever it is, the number of times you get an A or B. So I mean, yeah, it's so long ago we can't even remember it. He's still doing it. All right. Now, the listing agent within it says 10 minutes must confirm they've received the caller information. So I did leave that 10 minutes in. To confirm I got it, 10 minutes. You're 5 minutes in, you'll be showing houses. And, so if you want this call, just respond to a text. I've got it. Or go ahead and take it. I don't have time. I'm tied up. That's a response that would be legitimate. Listing agent within 10 minutes must confirm they have received the call or information. If you do not hear from the listing agent, you can then take the lead and work it. If, however, let's make sure we get this part. The lead turns into a sale or a listing sold, you agree to pay a 25% referral fee to the agent the initial call was intended for, regardless of the original intent of the call. So if it is attached to somebody, they don't respond or they don't have time, whatever. We are at that point paying a 25% referral fee for them going out, getting that signed up, having that opportunity happen because they created that business. So that's a fair thing. At least that's what the ALC, our Associate Leadership Council, has agreed to. So that's why I'm here to go over this, because ultimately that needs to be understood.
That's fair.
It is fair at the end of the
We
day.
pay for the signs and the photos and everything else, we should get that 25%, no matter what. It did.
If you created that,
Create the referral.
you created that opportunity with that inventory. And
So-
otherwise the call would never have come. Yeah,
So
Lisa.
if, like, I had just so many listings and I was so busy and it was Sunday afternoon and I'm at a party, I could tell them, I can't work it, can you go ahead and work it? And then the 25%.
They'll pay you a 25% referral.
Okay.
Yes. That's what needs to be understood. Because we don't want you to go, through that transaction not knowing that, and then, because 25% is a fair size of, amount of money. But we would gladly, any day, pay 25% referral fee from any agent across the country that handed us business.
Right.
And without the slightest hesitation. So that's what I think, why it makes it. So here, if you're in doubt about how to handle a particular call or situation, the safety net, contact Vicki or Don Moore for guidance and further direction. So, I mean, that's, if you just don't, what do I do here? I don't know what a situation might be, but people are very creative about coming up with situations. So down here at the bottom of this then, it says your signature below is an acknowledgement of receipt of this policy and your agreement to comply with the above stated policy. Place for you to sign and date. So you're not ready, Christy. But I think everybody else in this room is, as far as the 45, you got 45 hours a long time ago. So, and you don't need it. You're done with it, I know for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, everybody's eligible to do this, literally, because of, now you're saying, I'm going to attend a meeting. Lisa, you showed up to the meeting. You already came to the one we had 2 weeks ago, on the first Tuesday.
I like sales meetings.
She likes sales meetings. She'll be at all of them, Jennifer. She likes them.
Well, me too. You learn something every single time. I mean,
But there usually is some thought given to let's not tie up 40 people at $100 an hour for no reason except to just waste our time. Because that's what we're doing. And I look at a room full of 40 people, it's a $4,000 meeting if it's only an hour. That's what it costs us not to have you in that field in front of somebody eye to eye with a customer. So I don't know if anybody, but that's how I see it. I need to make sure Vicki and everybody else that plans these meetings knows that's how expensive. It's not the cookies and the coffee and the donuts or whatever they bring. That's not what the cost is. The cost is the excluded alternatives that we talked about, which is $100 an hour if you're in front of somebody that needs your help. So those meetings are expensive and they ought to be treated that way by whoever puts them together, because that's what you're doing. And frankly, I think, Jennifer, the meetings were phenomenal. More people would come. I'm not missing that, is what I'd love to create. And I love a meeting. I love a great meeting. I love to get up in front and just inspire folks to feel like they can run through a wall as soon as they get done.
Even uninvited, he speaks. And he always gives us some good juju to go
What
with.
time are they on? This is the one that's on the first Tuesday.
They're always from 11.
Yes,
11?
yeah,
Is that what you said?
that's
There's
11.
11 over here.
And I think it's 11 over.
The combined one is 11 on the
11
third.
o'clock over there. Why is it 11? That the question is usually, and it's because we are trying to make sure that people have their habit of lead generating in the morning, 9 to 10 or 9 to 10:30. That's already done. So when they come to the meeting, we haven't scheduled something that prevents them from doing it. So that's how it got shifted to that time slot. It used to be earlier. Whether that's still valid or not, I don't know. It comes down to how many people are doing that. How many are we interfering with? And yet, Gary Keller at International would say the most valuable part of your day is from 9 or 8:30 to 11, where you're contacting people and staying in touch and following up and doing all the stuff that is high leverage behavior. And at the same time, that you have the most energy then. Your mind is sharpest then. Your disciplines are higher then. If you wait until 3 in the afternoon to start doing this, your battery's running low and your disciplines are not as good. And those dynamics are real. So that's why you're saying, do it in those hours, because you just have there's a better chance you're going to do it. Plus you got the energy to do it. At 3 o'clock, the day's worn you down. And now you're starting to call us, try to sound enthusiastic about something. Well, you know, your battery. Take a look at your battery at 3 o'clock and see what it looks like. That's what your energy. Right now, I'm at 92%, and I'm only made it to 10:30. But that's how we are. We have a battery life during the day as far as energy is concerned. We consume it unless we recharge it some way. And so coming into a great class where somebody's inspirational and creates energy can be a recharge at 2. But ultimately, that's part of why we're doing that. So that's why it's 11 o'clock, to allow that to happen and at least give the people a choice. And so anyway, what Cheryl needs, if you're interested in this, is a signature at the bottom of this and a date. And then I go hand it to her and I say, Cheryl, these people are eligible for this. They understand the dynamics. They understand not to say can and may. And they should say may. They understand why. And here's people that you can include in your list now, people to put on that calendar. So if there's enough people to do it, you may get on it not even once a month. If there's, it just depends on the ebb and flow of how many people. But if you got 31 people on the list, you're only going to be on it once. If you got 40, you may not make it every month. So your business shouldn't revolve around this. But this is gravy. And yet, if you're busy enough, you might not have time to do it. When you get busy enough, you might not have time on your Saturday or in the evenings to take those calls because you're dealing with stuff yourself. And you got to make sure 10 minutes and 15 minutes is doable for you that whole day. All right.
So that complete the Ignite is no longer this absolute requirement.
No,
Okay.
if you have transaction
I
experience.
did Ignite, but I went on vacation for a week and I missed 3 courses.
You're good. Because the standard right now would be if you missed 3 of them, I would still say you're done, but you ought to come back and finish those 3. But I'm going to sign off and say, technically, as far as our standard is concerned, you've completed enough to at least know what you're doing to some degree. So in your case, transaction experience is what I'm after. Could you handle it if somebody called and said, I want to look at houses, I want to list my house, could you handle that? And I know you can. Your daughter almost can. Cooper's been to enough classes with her that she could do it. At whatever, 5 years old. So she's been to a lot of our classes over the last 3 years. Just this well-behaved little gal that comes in, cute as a bug's ear.
She is.
And before she was in school, I guess, we just brought her up here and we had class here. And it's amazing what those little people are picking up that you don't think they're noticing. All right. Have I covered it sufficiently?
Yes.
See, I'm going to give you 30 minutes of discretionary time. We set the expectation at an hour. You got 25 minutes you didn't know you were going to have, and I don't want you to waste them. So you could stand here and we could talk a little more about other things. But I'm going to tell these guys, hey, out here in Midwest City and Shawnee, I'm giving you 25 minutes of a gift of time. Don't waste it. Thank you. This broadcast is